Shaitanirajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. BS second semester students, welcome to my class. Today I am going to discuss barriers of communication. This is the second part of my previous video in which I have discussed 3 barriers of communication, and now we are going to discuss the remaining 4 barriers of communication, namely cultural or cross-cultural or geographic barrier, interpersonal barrier, physical or media or channel barrier, and technological barriers. And at the end of this lecture we will discuss how to overcome all these barriers. So a cultural barrier or cross-cultural barrier, it is a cross-cultural communication is a process of creating and sharing meaning among people from different cultural background using a variety of means. The term cross-cultural communication is used interchangeably with intercultural communication at times. What are some examples of cross-cultural misunderstandings? So here are some of the most common cultural misunderstandings one may have to face. One is hand gesture. It is always advised to mind in your body language when in an unknown company, especially if you are in foreign country. You have to keep in mind the body language, how to use your hand gesture, how to greet someone, how to say farewell to someone. So that is very important in communication, and it may cause a barrier in a successful communication. Second one is embracing. We should know in cross-cultural or in a different cultural society that how to embrace each other while communicating. Mind your feet. You have to take care about your feet, how to use them in communicating. That all these things comes in your body language when you are in cross-cultural or geographic society. No shoes. Either if you are anywhere that the place which is religious for someone, or most respectful places, either you have to put on shoes there or not. You have to keep these things in your mind, and these are also communicating something about your personality, or communicating something about that how you are feeling about that society. For example, when you have seen that when Lady Diana's family visit, or Diana herself visited Pakistan several times, and now her son visited this area. So we feel very happy when they are using our clothes and our cultural things in for themselves, and we feel happy and we feel lots of love in our heart for them. Fifth one barrier is interpersonal barrier. Interpersonal barrier. What is interpersonal barrier? One of the trickiest obstacles to effective communication is interpersonal barriers. Interpersonal barrier means that when the in communication there is the two person or the two sorts of people are involved in communicating. If one person or one party is willing to communicate but the other is not willing to communicate, then the communication will not be possible. The ability to interact with one another face to face and exchange information clearly through both verbal and non-verbal message is the basis for much of our everyday communication. So if we are not helping each other in this communication process, that is also a barrier in the communication, and this is known as interpersonal barrier. Sixth one is physical, media or channel barrier. Physical or media or channel barrier. Physical barrier is the environmental and natural condition that acts as a barrier in communication and sending message from sender to receiver. Organizational environment or interior workplace design problems, technological problem, and noise are the part of the physical barrier. So these are the physical things which are involved in the person, either nor receiver, neither the sender is the barrier, but the physical environment and the things around that are the barrier in a successful communication. Seventh and last barrier of communication is the technological barrier. Technological barrier, as it's very clear from its name, technological barrier are described as a limited access to useful, relevant, and appropriate hardware and software, especially in the instance where the use of the technology is perceived as not being sufficient to perform the task or accomplish the objectives for which the technology was initially utilized. So if the, for example, our online classes nowadays in Pakistan, and especially in this ex-FATA, this is a very strong barrier in our communication. When the students do not have mobile phone with themselves, they do not have the Zoom technology for taking the classes and other such sort of thing. That is the barrier in the communication, and you must be aware of it. Now let's come to the important measures how to overcome these barriers of communication. We have 9 important measures to overcome these barriers of communication, and we will discuss them. Number 1, clarify idea before communication. The person sending the communication should be very clear in his mind about what he wants to say. He should know the objectives of his message, and therefore he should arrange his thoughts in a proper order. So if the sender or the person who is speaking or the person who is communicating, he is not clear about the idea what he wants or she wants to say, then the communication will be failed. But if he is clear about everything, then the communication will be very much successful. And that is the remedy, that we should always have a homework about what we are going to communicate, how should we communicate, and we should be prepared for our communication. Second one is communicate according to the need of the receiver. The sender of the communication should prepare the structure of the message not according to his own level or ability, but he should keep in mind the level, understanding, or the environment of the receiver. You understand, for example, if I take the example of a teacher can understand very well and he has a full knowledge of his subject. But if he thinks that he or she will teach the students the way he or she know, then there will be unsuccessful communication. For example, if I want to teach a child of one class, a student of one class or two class, and a students of BS or second semester or first semester in the same level, then that will not be the appropriate way. A student who is in KG or one class will not understand what I want to teach him or her. Consult others before the communication. At a time of planning the communication, suggestion should be invented from all the person concerned. Its main advantage will be that all of those people who are consulted at the time of preparing the communication plan will contribute to the success of the communication system. For example, if I'm going to teach you, or if I'm going to give you a lecture tomorrow, and I give you a topic that tomorrow our topic will be about the barrier of communication, and come prepare, see some internet sources and see some have some knowledge about it. Then when you will come to the class and I will start giving you lecture, you will have some sort of things in your mind before that, and the communication will be very much successful. Fourth one is be aware of the language, tone, and the content of the message. The sender should take care of the fact that the message should be framed in the clear and beautiful language. The tone of the message should not injure the feeling of the receiver, that the receiver may not understand that the sender is hitting me, or he or she is satirically doing something, but there should be, the purpose should be to understand what the sender wants to give the receiver, not that the other things, under meaning things should not be there. As far as possible, the content of the message should be brief, and excessive use of technology should be avoided. Fifth one is convey things to help and value to the listener. The subject matter of the message should be helpful to the receiver. The need and interest of the receiver should specially be kept in mind. Communication is more effective in such a situation. For example, if I started teaching about communication and the barriers of a communication to any woman who is interested in cooking, she will not take interest in that. Rather, I should communicate, I should talk to her about her subject, her interest of subject. So we should talk to the people, and we should communicate in the way where the listener is interested in listening. Sixth one is ensure proper feedback. The purpose of feedback is to find out whether the receiver has properly understood the meaning of information received. Sender is sending a message. When a receiver give back that message or participate in that topic to the sender, then we say that is feedback. So the feedback is also very much important. In face-to-face communication, the reaction on the face of the receiver can be understood. Seventh remedy, or how to measure, how to overcome this barrier of communication, is the consistency of message. The information sent to the receiver should not be self-contradictory. It should be in accordance with the objective, policies, program, and techniques of the organization. A new message has to be sent in place of the old one. It should always make a mention to the change, otherwise it can create some doubts. So we have to keep the organizational objectives, policies, and programs in our mind while we are making message to someone. Follow-up communication is the eighth measure to overcome these barrier of communication. In order to make communication effective, the management should regularly try to know the weaknesses of the communication system. In this context, effort can be made to know whether to lay more stress upon the formal or informal communication would be appropriate. And at the end, I would say that in a successful communication, it is the essence of communication that both the sender and their receiver should be good listeners. Both should listen to each other's points of view with the attention, patience, and positive attitude. A sender can receive much relevant information by being a good listener. So thank you for watching. Press like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video. And this was all for today.